Good morning, Dr. Machinsky. Are you there?
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Lorena Torres. I'm a third-year resident here in the Institute. I'm going to introduce you, but first I would like to make some prior coordinations. Um, I don't know, as you know, we would need to translate what you're going to say during the speech.
Correct.
So can you speak like a few words and then I would try to translate everything you say.
So not simultaneous, just do some pauses.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. No problem. And just feel free to interrupt me if I go on.
Okay. So as it's 7 o'clock, I will start.
And are you the
Yes.
Oh, never mind. I'm gonna have to share my screen eventually to get the PowerPoint up, but I
Okay.
see that someone enabled me. And just tell me when I should put my camera on and when to start.
Yes, I will introduce you now.
Okay, thank you.
I will do it in Spanish and then English.
Okay.
Buenos días, continuando con el curso de Discapacidad Visual y Rehabilitación Visual. Hoy día tenemos el agrado de presentar a la doctora Tracy Machinsky, quien es optómetra graduada del Illinois College of Optometry y que posteriormente realizó su residencia en el Centro de Rehabilitación de Baja Visión del Pennsylvania College of Optometry. Actualmente ella se desempeña trabajando en el Chicago Lighthouse y además es miembro de la facultad del Illinois College of Optometry. Good morning. Today we would like to introduce Dr. Machinsky. She graduated in Illinois College of Optometry and completed her residency at the William Flynn Low Vision Rehabilitation Center of Pennsylvania College of Optometry. And currently she works in the Chicago Lighthouse and is member of the faculty of the Illinois College of Optometry. Good morning, Dr. Tracy. You can start now your...
Okay, good morning. And I'm just gonna pull up my PowerPoint to start. And just before I start, you're able to see my first slide?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, very good. So good morning, everybody. And we're gonna talk together this morning about the technology that's available to help our patients with visual impairments. So there's been a lot of evolution of technology, as we all know and all benefit from. And there's a lot of research going on in terms of wearable technologies for our patients. It's a pretty exciting time.
Durante el tiempo hemos visto que hay un montón de desarrollo de tecnologías que nos van a ayudar a ayudar a nuestros pacientes con discapacidad visual.
So technology, like I just mentioned, helps all of us. And for people with impairment or disability, regardless of what type, it has gone a long way to improve quality of life.
Entonces, esas tecnologías van a ayudar a que las pacientes puedan desarrollarse de forma adecuada, tanto en su independencia, comodidad y calidad de vida.
So I just want to talk about a patient to start this lecture with, a longtime patient of mine, and she's 15 years old and she has cone rod dystrophy. She happens to be a 10th grader in high school, and her main concerns are goal and visual fatigue while looking at the computer.
Voy a empezar la charla hablando sobre una paciente de 15 años que cursaba el 10º grado, que tenía dificultad para ver y tenía astenopia.
And you can see her best corrected vision and her refraction here, 2800, 2600.
Y tenía una agudeza visual de 20/800 en el ojo derecho y 20/600 en el ojo izquierdo.
And her near vision, she can see 2100, but she has to pull it very close to her face.
y para la visión cercana tenía una agudeza de 20/100.
And given her level of vision, she doesn't respond well to optical magnification or telescopes.
Y debido a su agudeza visual no respondía bien a la magnificación con telescopios.
Because as we know with cone rod dystrophy, not only do we have reduced acuity, but there's contrast problems and visual field loss.
Porque sabemos que en la distrofia de conos, además de una alteración en la visión, también va a haber una dificultad para visión de colores y campo visual.
So what this student uses and does quite well with, she's a very bright child, doing well in school, but these are the things that are helping her. First of all, we always want our patients with visual impairment to wear glasses for protection, if nothing else.
Bueno, si bien nuestra paciente era muy brillante, requería de ciertas ayudas, además del uso de lentes para protección.
So also number two is to have some extra glare shields, sometimes even while using her screens.
Utilizaba lentes que la protegían del deslumbramiento durante el uso de pantallas.
Number three is a +6 pair of glasses, simply because not so much for the magnification, but just to make the eye to screen distance more comfortable.
También utilizaba una medida de prismas de 6 en ambos ojos para que no lo ayudaban a ver, sino era para que tenga mayor confort durante su visión a las pantallas.
And number four is most of the technologies that she's using. The Braille Note Touch is essentially like a computer without a screen.
Y utilizaba el Braille Note táctil, que era como que una computadora pero sin pantalla.
And she happens to use iPad and iPhone, and there's a lot of accessibility features, talking calculator.
Y además usaba un iPad y iPhone que tenía diferentes como que características que le permitían su uso accesible, como la descripción de las actividades en voz alta o magnificador de las palabras.
She also has a desktop electronic magnifier, and her computer has programs for both speech and enlargement, the Zoom text and JAWS.
También tenía un magnificador electrónico de escritorio y así como también unas computadoras en donde permitía la amplificación de las palabras y los textos.
She had better vision when she was a little bit younger, and she very much was a visual reader, but we're having that transition from vision to more auditory so she can go faster for her reading.
Ella de niña tenía buena visión de cerca, pero en la transición a tener que leer visión en auditorio es que tuvimos que adaptar sus ayudas.
And then 5 and 6 talk about just we want to make sure when she's given assessments or tests in school, she has accommodation. And number 6, if you look at it, it's all the professionals, fortunately, that she's able to work with in the school setting.
Y además el colegio donde ella estuvo se pudo acomodar a sus necesidades.
So in addition to what we might do as the eye doctor, whether it's the medical eye or the rehabilitation eye care, we need to work with our fellow professionals that might be available to help the student learn and use the technology with better success.
En donde no solo tiene que intervenir el oftalmólogo o el optómetra, sino también otros profesionales de la comunidad, como vendría a ser el rehabilitador o el maestro, que también tiene interacción con la paciente.
And then this particular patient, she's a retinal specialist for inherited retinal diseases, IRDs.
La paciente usualmente se veía con un especialista en retina que tenía mucha experiencia en enfermedades retinales hereditarias.
And if anybody's particularly interested in inherited retinal disease, Foundation Fighting Blindness You can see the hyperlink there, but they do, just in the US currently, but they do free genetic testing for these patients to get their exact genetic mutation.
Si es que alguien está interesado en las enfermedades retinales, ahí hay un link donde pueden ingresar. Si bien es cierto, funciona en Estados Unidos, hacen estudios genéticos gratuitos.
Okay, and hopefully that program will expand at some point. So as you can see, when we're working with our visually impaired patients, especially those with more profound vision loss, assistive technology is a crucial part of what we're doing.
Conforme los pacientes se desarrollan, la tecnología que pueden asistirlo es fundamental.
And it's important for us to bring it into every one of our low vision exams.
Y es importante que podamos tenerlo disponible para poder ayudar a nuestros pacientes con baja visión.
So depending on what age you are on this call, you could probably really take a look at one of these phones and see what you grew up with. But really the newer generations in the bottom right, you know, the wearables, the earpods, the cellular phones are all pretty interesting devices that we're using, and we can use them with our patients.
Dependiendo de qué edad tengamos, podemos ver cómo es que la tecnología ha evolucionado y podemos ver cómo esto también va de la mano con cómo podemos ayudar a nuestros pacientes.
And in terms of trying to keep current with what the technology is that is available, you know, talks like this, or there's a lot of these YouTube channels that promote new products that are interesting for us to watch.
Hay varios canales que pueden ayudar a los pacientes y también a comprender nosotros también, que se encuentran en YouTube, como son los que se encuentran en la pantalla.
And as we all know, just listening and learning from our patients is always a good thing, especially with assistive technology, because sometimes the younger patients know new apps or technology that they like to talk about.
Y bueno, ahora vamos a ver algunos ejemplos.
So we definitely start the demonstration of assistive technology, and then we try to look to our community, to other professionals that might help teach the technology to the patients.
Bueno, inicialmente el optometrista puede iniciar mostrando la tecnología extra que se puede utilizar.
So one basic thing that all of us can do when we're working with our patients is a lot of the technology involves, whether it's a phone, a tablet, a computer, we all need to be very aware of what is the eye to the screen distance.
Existe diferente tecnología que puede ayudarnos, que puede permitir que el paciente pueda ver una distancia cercana.
Because very often now the magnification and contrast enhancement will happen within the computer system.
Porque muchas veces el glare o el deslumbramiento de las pantallas puede alterar la magnificación de los dispositivos.
But we as the eye care provider need to make sure that the patient can tolerate to look at the screen comfortably for extended periods.
Pero el profesional tiene que asegurar que el paciente está cómodo utilizando estos dispositivos y pueden ver adecuadamente.
So I'm going to have a case to just illustrate that point. And I think you can read the acuities, refraction, but here is a 62-year-old man with beginning macular degeneration.
Entonces voy a usar otro caso. Pueden leer la agudeza visual. Este es un paciente de 62 años con degeneración macular relacionada al edad.
So he's a graphic designer who basically stares at computer screens all day long.
So, este es un paciente que es un diseñador gráfico que trabaja utilizando computadoras todo el día.
And even though his visual acuity is fairly good, we have to think about the metamorphopsia and the contrast issues.
Y pese a que su agudeza visual es buena, debemos ver o debemos pensar en los defectos del contraste que el paciente puede tener.
So he actually needs a little bit more magnification than you would expect.
Entonces, usualmente, este paciente usa mayor magnificación de la que debería para poder ver bien.
And with his current glasses, he does have a progressive bifocal add, but he doesn't access it very well.
Sí, pese a que usa bifocales, él no ve bien.
So basically with him, first we updated the glasses because his current glasses were about 4 years old.
Lo primero que se hizo fue actualizar los lentes que tenían como 4 años de antigüedad.
And then we took a fair amount of time to make sure what the distance between his eye and the screen was.
Y además teníamos que asegurar que la distancia era la correcta entre sus ojos y la pantalla que usaba.
Both at his home work and when he was meeting with clients, and we came up with a distance of about 30 centimeters.
Y se determinó que esto era más o menos de 30 centímetros.
And then after a little bit of trial in the exam room, he was most comfortable with that +3 add.
Y bueno, luego de este ejercicio se llegó a que la adición de 3 era la más cómoda para el paciente.
And we essentially just prescribed that as a computer only glasses with the tint. I'm sorry, with the anti-reflective coating.
Y bueno, se indicó esto para el uso de pantallas y además se le indicó que tenga antirreflex.
And he continues to be fairly comfortable with that. In addition to the number 3, the using of some accessibility features on the computer.
Y además, bueno, se demostró que podía tener acceso, bueno, tenía confort al usar los lentes en la computadora, ya que le permitía un mejor contraste y ampliación.
So one of the easiest things to do on any computer is right here, the Control Plus. So if you hit Control Plus or use the roller ball on the mouse, it can quickly enlarge print.
Y además se podían utilizar otras funciones de la computadora, como por ejemplo usar Control más que permita la amplificación de la imagen o de la pantalla.
So because he has a 24-inch monitors, he's able to enlarge it comfortably with his reading glasses, and he's a lot more comfortable at work.
Y de esta manera el paciente está mucho más cómodo en el trabajo.
And number 4 talks about the fact that potentially for driving, we use bioptic telescopes.
Y bueno, el punto 4 es además demostrar que el paciente puede hacer un uso potencial de los telescopios.
So one of the challenges and what sometimes we think as physicians is that this is going to cost a lot of money and there's not a lot of resources often available for this population. Sometimes schools or jobs can help with the cost of the equipment or service groups.
Entonces, alguno de los retos es que todo esto puede ser costoso.
So here's an older slide, and you can see the technology that might have been requested 10 years ago was, in US dollars, over $8,000. But now with some of the free technology, especially with cell phones and computers, I mean, that brings that total down quite a bit. So it's making it much more available to everyone with vision impairment.
Y podemos ver o comparar cómo es que antes, sin la tecnología, era mucho más costoso.
So the types of assistive technology are shown here. We're going to touch on each one of them. And again, this is not a fully inclusive list as things are developed all the time, but this is as far as the categories of vision rehabilitation technology, this is a pretty good list for you to reference.
Entonces, bueno, en esta lista va a haber diferentes ayudas tecnológicas que vamos a hacer referencia durante la charla.
So hopefully everyone has seen or knows about electronic magnification. It's basically a screen with a camera. You can see this woman, she has Stargardt's, is using a portable electronic magnifier.
Entonces, en esta imagen podemos ver cómo una mujer está utilizando un dispositivo de magnificación electrónica, utilizándolo sobre un periódico.
And just as an FYI, this is a 30 2-year-old woman with Stargardt macular dystrophy she's a -5, and she takes off her glasses just to make that screen comfortable.
Y bueno, es una mujer de 32 años con degeneración ocular, con una refracción de +5, que se ha tenido que quitar los lentes para poder estar mucho más cómoda usando esta pantalla electrónica.
In terms of how this is available, it comes in many sizes. I kind of tell patients it comes in small, medium, large, extra large.
Y bueno, viene en diferentes tamaños, pequeños, grandes.
It also comes with a camera that can be rotated. You can see in the right picture, it can be rotated towards a smart board or the front of a lecture hall.
Y bueno, este dispositivo viene con una cámara que puede proyectar imágenes.
And then the camera can be rotated down in the upper left here, down towards what the patient is reading.
Y puede ser rotada, por ejemplo, a una página que el paciente esté leyendo.
A lot of schools now too, going back to this smartboard idea, a lot of schools that use not a regular chalkboard or dry erase, if they use a smartboard, there's an app on a computer called Join Me, where a visually impaired student can have the screen, whatever the teacher is writing, connected with their computer to see the screen, see
Bueno,
what the teacher is writing.
hay algunos colegios que tienen los smartboards o las pizarras inteligentes que se conectan a la computadora y los pacientes con dificultades visuales pueden verlo en tiempo real.
So we'll talk about another patient I work with. She's 31-year-old patient with albinism.
Ahora hablaremos de una paciente de 31 años con albinismo.
So she, you can see with albinism, we tend to have real high prescriptions. You can see she's 2200 with her hyperopic and astigmatism correction.
Podemos ver que su agudeza visual es 20-200, pese a que está con su mejor agudeza visual corregida.
And she is a person that works with veterans, so she has to move around to different locations, and she's having trouble seeing different screens as well as seeing the presentations when she's in meetings.
Bueno, ella trabaja con los veteranos, entonces tiene que viajar por diferentes lugares y tiene bastante dificultad durante las presentaciones porque no puede ver a las pantallas.
And in terms of availability of her ad, she can get a +8 ad in around 22, and she wears that in her glasses.
Y bueno, con respecto a su visión cercana, ella debe usar una adición +8 para poder ver.
And what works best for her, you can kind of see, I'm sure, just reading, I don't know if we'll go through all this just in the interest of time. And the PowerPoint certainly can be shared if you're interested. The host can share it with you. But she does quite well with all of her equipment.
Y bueno, no voy a describir cada uno de los ítems por temas de tiempo, pero espero que pueda compartir este PowerPoint.
And she uses a 7-inch portable electronic magnifier to function with her job. That's her go-to device.
Y bueno, ella usa el magnificador electrónico y es lo que más usa, ¿no? Y le sirve.
And she also uses one of those adjustable cameras to participate more in meetings.
Y también utiliza estas cámaras que se adaptan para poder, para que le permita una mejor participación durante las reuniones.
And she, like when she is working with veterans, she stands over their shoulders to help them to work with the computer. And in order to see that distance, which might be a meter or 1.5 meters, she actually has a bioptic telescope 4X Ocutech that she focuses it on the screen and is able to access the screen and help her clients.
Y bueno, cuando trabaja con los veteranos, usualmente usa un telescopio bióptico que lo utiliza por encima del hombro del veterano y eso le permite tener una mejor interacción con sus clientes.
And if you're not aware, it's always good to connect patients to support groups and agencies, and it's so easy to do online now. But for people with albinism, if you haven't seen this site, I would highly recommend it. They're an amazing organization for the people with albinism in this community.
Y bueno, pueden revisar la página de albinismo, que hay grupos de support para los pacientes con esta enfermedad.
So another category that there used to be only 1 or 2 companies, now there's probably 15 companies, but it's a head-borne display.
Y bueno, los visualizadores montados en la cabeza, antes solo habían como 2 empresas, pero ahora hay como 15 compañías que lo desarrollan.
And you can see from the pictures here, basically someone's just wearing the system and they can view at distance.
Y bueno, es básicamente una persona que proyecta la imagen y uno puede ver la pantalla a distancia.
But you can see you would not want to walk around with this on because it occludes all your normal vision.
Que bueno, claramente uno no puede caminar con esto porque ocluye toda la visión.
One of the first ones, they were back when I started, 25 years ago, there was a big splash with one of these devices, and then it kind of went away, and then it came back probably 5 or 6 years ago with this device.
Bueno, y hace 25 años es que se inicia el desarrollo de esta tecnología, que bueno, ha estado yendo y viniendo. Y uno de los dispositivos se llama eSight.
And they do have what's called a bioptic position where the camera can be mounted up so you could tilt your head back and then you could walk around just with your regular vision and tilt your head down to access the camera.
Bueno, este dispositivo permite que el diseño óptico esté hacia arriba, de manera que cuando tú miras hacia abajo, puedes volver hacia la visión de arriba y puedes caminar sin que te caiga.
So let's talk about a patient. We have an 85-year-old, and his main thing is the watching the TV and just looking at his mail. He is a man who's living by himself, right? He's living by himself and he just wants to be independent.
Bueno, ahora hablaremos sobre un paciente de 85 años con degeneración macular atrófica, que bueno, está jubilado y su principal preocupación es poder ver a la televisión, leer el periódico y ser independiente.
And you can see his acuities are quite reduced from the macular degeneration.
Y podemos ver que su agudeza visual se ha visto disminuida por la degeneración macular.
So, with any patient, we just want them to have polycarbonate glasses for protection.
Bueno, para los pacientes usualmente les indicamos lentes de policarbonato para protección.
And with patients with macular degeneration or any kind of central dystrophies, we do quite a bit of work with eccentric viewing training to make them more stable, to use their vision better.
Y bueno, entrenamos a los pacientes para que tengan una mejor visión excéntrica.
And he was a gentleman who is not too adapted to his vision loss, so psychological counseling also came into play.
Y bueno, este paciente en especial no se había adaptado muy bien a su condición, por lo que tenía ciertos problemas psicológicos de adaptación.
And after everything was trialed, he really did the best with the head-borne. I'm going to scoop back. He did best with the iris vision.
Y bueno, luego de tratar con muchos dispositivos, se pudo adaptar al eyesight.
And technology is not always easy to learn, so there was quite a bit of training. So he was in the office several times, and there's, I believe, one home visit as well. So he had hours and hours of training to use this device, and it did help him for TV. It did help him for reading, so he was happy.
Y bueno, le tomó cierto tiempo en adaptarse y en aprender a usar el dispositivo, hasta que finalmente lo ayudó a poder leer y ver la televisión.
Okay, so let's talk about the next category would be computer adaptations.
Ahora hablaremos sobre ciertas adaptaciones que podemos hacer a las computadoras.
And the easiest way to think about this is, what are my built-in features, or what features can I download?
Y bueno, vamos a ver qué características tienen las computadoras y cuáles podemos descargar.
And the other way to think of it too is, do I use my eyes for enlargement or do I use my ears for speech output?
Ya. Y bueno, y ver si es que necesito que mis ojos amplifiquen la imagen o es que necesito mis oídos para poder entender lo que tengo que hacer.
So any computer your patient sits in front of is going to have some accessibility features. So here's the website, either if it's an Apple product or a Windows PC.
Bueno, aquí tenemos las páginas de accesibilidad que se encuentran en los dispositivos de Apple y de Microsoft.
And on any computer, like I said, for your patients that don't have very severe vision loss, literally you could do it on your computers right now. Just control plus and minus will make the whole screen get bigger or smaller.
Y bueno, algo sencillo es el uso del control más y control menos para magnificar o reducir la imagen, tanto en una computadora de Windows o de Mac.
And again, these are built-in free features that can help your patient access the computers, which accesses the internet, which is everything.
Y bueno, existen otras características que son fáciles de ver en Internet y que son gratuitas.
Now, in addition to enlargement, obviously the contrast enhancement, color contrast means is it going to be white on black, yellow on black, red on black? You know, it depends on what colors they see the best and how they want to set up their print.
Y bueno, también están las características relacionadas al contraste de color como blanco y negro, rojo y negro, o los colores que el paciente tenga dificultad, todo eso se puede adaptar con las computadoras.
And in addition, the cursor, like my little white cursor would be hard for me to see if I had worse vision, but I can make the cursor bigger. I can make it a different color. I can make it a circle. So the cursor and pointer can also be easily adapted with built-in accessibility.
Y bueno, también podemos adaptar, por ejemplo, el cursor, que si yo tuviera problemas de visión no vería la flechita. Y puedo transformarlo como un círculo, cambiarlo que sea una flecha roja, o etc.
The other thing that's built in, if we're not able to use our eyes, is audio features.
Bueno, si es que no podemos usar los ojos, podemos utilizar el sentido de la audición.
And it's another way to commonly refer to this is a screen reader.
Y bueno, una forma fácil es el lector de pantalla.
And again, I would encourage you, you know, in your downtime, just play around on your own computer. Just go to the settings, go to accessibility, and it'll pop up. You can do the magnification, you can do the speech.
Bueno, en sus tiempos libres pueden intentar hacer esto en sus computadoras para ver el setting, usar herramientas y ver accesibilidad y ver sobre el lector de voz o control de volumen.
And it sounds very simple, but you would be surprised when your patient, working with your patient, sometimes they have no idea that these things are available. So the simple, I can't tell you how many times that control plus and minus has helped people simply to read emails.
Y bueno, puede sonar esto muy sencillo, pero se van a sorprender de la cantidad de pacientes que no saben de estas características. Y solo utilizando el control más, el control menos, van a poder usarlo para leer sus correos.
So some of the more sophisticated programs are something like Zoom Text, which is a magnification, and JAWS, which is a screen reader. Those are kind of the top product used by people in many countries for enlargement in speech.
Bueno, hay uno de los programas más sofisticados como es Zoom Text o JAWS que son los que más se usan en todas las partes del mundo.
And here's just a couple screenshots of something that Zoom Text does. The control bar here, you can see it has magnification, color, pointer, cursor. So it helps you to set up your computer however you want it.
Bueno, aquí hay unos screenshots de cómo es que funciona el programa. Se puede usar la magnificación, el color, cambiar el cursor de pantalla y esto puede ayudar al paciente.
Okay, another program for purchase, you can see here, and again, these hyperlinks, if you're interested, just ask for the presentation and you can see some of these in action.
Y bueno, aquí hay otros ejemplos que cuando tengan acceso al PowerPoint van a poder empezar.
In the interest of time this morning, I'm just going to leave that to you at your leisure. So the other thing that's important is some of these programs can be expensive, like the JAWS and the Zoom text. So there is something called NVDA that's free.
Y bueno, esos programas pueden ser muy costosos, pero hay el NVDA, que es un acceso no visual al computador.
And this, I've actually visited different clinics around the world, and I almost always see patients using this. This is for patients that don't have enough vision to do the reading, but they can plug into any computer and it can create the free screen reader for them.
Bueno, he visto que en muchas partes del mundo los pacientes utilizan esto como un lector de pantalla. O sea, es para gente que puede saber prender una computadora y va a tener acceso a un lector de pantalla.
And additionally, from a screen reader, it also has a Braille component to it if your patient's a Braille reader.
Y además tiene un componente de braille que puede ayudar al paciente a que lea.
And then someone who is profoundly visually impaired or blind can use keyboards by touch typing or keystrokes. And this is just an example of some of the keystrokes they would learn for using NVA.
Y bueno, los pacientes también pueden aprender a escribir con el teclado y es algo que les da acceso a este tipo de keyboard de NVDA.
All right, so the other thing that we're using is our smartphones.
Bueno, otra cosa que usamos son nuestros celulares.
And everyone, if you're getting a little bit lazy listening to me, might be looking at your smartphone. And there's so much we can do on our smartphones to help patients. I bring both an Apple and an Android into every exam with me to show patients some of these features.
Bueno, seguramente ya se aburrieron y están viendo sus celulares. Y bueno, los celulares tienen muchas ayudas.
So in yellow are some of the apps that I would recommend.
Y bueno, aquí en amarillo están algunas aplicaciones que sugiero que puedan ver.
And again, at your leisure, you can kind of start to investigate a few of these on your own.
Y pueden investigar en su tiempo libre.
Because it doesn't take much time to show these in exam room and it can make a big difference for your patients.
Ya que esto puede significar algo muy importante para sus pacientes.
So my basic approach when I go in is I want to make sure that I'm showing them two things. EM is electronic magnification. So those magnifiers, the electronic magnifiers can be pretty costly, but there's free apps that can turn your phone into an electronic magnifier.
Bueno, quiero asegurarme que puedan saber cómo utilizar los magnificadores electrónicos que están en sus dispositivos celulares.
And then the second thing I always like to show my patients is OCR, optical character recognition. So letting the camera take a picture, process a print, and read it to your patient.
Y bueno, además enseñarles a utilizar las ayudas ópticas que están en los celulares, como puede ser tomar una foto.
And then the apps I would recommend, again, just for basic demonstration, if you have an iPhone, if your patient's using an iPhone, they actually have a magnifier app in the latest version. It's simply called Magnifier or Supervision.
Y bueno, por ejemplo, si sus pacientes usan un iPhone, en las últimas versiones va a estar la aplicación del Supervision o Magnifier.
For the OCR, Seeing AI is an amazing app. It does barcode reader, color identifier, money identifier, scene identifier, text identifier.
Y para las ayudas ópticas, el Seeing ayuda, por ejemplo, a ver colores, códigos de barras, tamaños, letras.
If we have an Android phone, then I'll use the app called Brighter and Bigger for magnification.
Si tengo un dispositivo Android, usaría la aplicación de Brighter and Bigger para magnificación.
And then for the OCR, an app called Envision.
Y para las ayudas ópticas, la aplicación que se llama Envision.
And all of these are free, but Envision, after a couple months, they'll have a charge of US $15 for the year.
Bueno, las aplicaciones son gratuitas, pero Envision un par de meses después tiene un costo de $15.
So these apps are important for reading, but there is a publication last year that looked at, for supervision, they looked at over 150,000 images and they said, what are people using these apps for?
Bueno, hay una publicación que trata de ver la aplicación del uso de magnificadores y querían saber en qué utilizaban la aplicación de supervision.
And mostly you can see it's a good article. I'd recommend you take a peek if you're interested. Mostly people did try to read with the magnification app, but you can see they looked at a lot of other just objects for identification.
Que si bien es cierto, muchos lo utilizaban para leer, también lo utilizaban para intentar identificar otras cosas.
And there are other apps I listed that you can take a picture, it can be uploaded, and then someone on the receiving end will identify it and send the patient back what the image is.
Bueno, también es porque pueden tomar una foto y enviar y reciben una respuesta de qué es exactamente lo que están enfocando.
So these are pretty powerful tools that are free that you can show your patient fairly quickly within the exam.
Bueno, estas aplicaciones se las pueden enseñar a sus pacientes.
The other thing also, if that's all you're able to do, that's fantastic. And then it also whets the patient's appetite for more vision rehabilitation.
Y bueno, también va a depender mucho en qué tanto quiere el paciente rehabilitarse o cuáles son sus ganas.
Whether you provide the rehabilitation or you refer to a colleague, it gets the patient to that next visit so they can have all the help they need.
Va a depender mucho del paciente cuánto es la ayuda que va a querer.
All right, so let's talk about another patient. She's a 36-year-old. She has Stargardt macular dystrophy. She is a full-time working. She has two small children. So her biggest concern is just, again, the eye fatigue while using the computer and being able to read to her children at night. They're like, I think, 3 and 5 years old. You can see her acuity there. And her near acuity, and she usually is about 25 centimeters from her computers for work. And she has some accommodation, but not enough to be comfortable to look at the computers.
El siguiente caso es una paciente de 36 años con distrofia macular de Stargardt que trabaja full time y es madre de dos niños de 3 y 5 años y su principal preocupación es que tiene cansancio, fatiga visual, o astenopia, sobre todo cuando usa el computador y cuando tiene que leerle cuentos en la noche a sus hijos. Pueden ver la huesa visual es de 20/200, 20/600 y necesita una adición de +6.
And I should add, she uses contact lenses while she's using the computer.
Y bueno, usa lentes de contacto cuando usa la computadora.
So our plan for her and what she does well with is, even though she does have accommodation, you can imagine looking at your computer all day long is fatiguing. So she actually, even though she's only 36, she needed quote, an ad for the computer to make her comfortable, and a +3 worked the best.
Y bueno, pese a que tiene acomodación, el problema es que la paciente tiene fatiga al usar el computador, por lo que se le tiene que añadir un +3 a la adición con antirrétino.
And with those computer glasses, she sometimes would have to look at her phone or paperwork. So we found out that a +6 would make that the most comfortable. So we put that as a bifocal.
Entonces nos dimos cuenta de que con el +6 iba a ser lo más cómodo, ya que la paciente también tiene que leer la computadora. Y lo pusimos en unos lentes bifocales.
And number two, like her work environment, she has a 24-inch screen and she's very comfortable with the accessible features to be able to do her job. And then the glasses will make it more comfortable for her as well.
Y bueno, además se añade el uso de otras características de accesibilidad en su computador y teléfono.
And number 3, so this one is just so nice to hear from her every year. She, again, uses her smartphone with a bigger screen, and she uses one of the magnifier apps, Supervision. And she said this is like the best thing for her because she can sit with her kids on their bed, all snuggled together, and they can read the book together, and she just uses her app to be able to read to them.
Y bueno, ella usa un smartphone y lo mejor para ella fue el magnificador, ya que puede sentarse con sus niños y leerles cuentos.
Okay. So this is for us as physicians. So there's an app called Vision Sim from the Braille Institute. I keep all my apps in a little folder on my cell phone. The upper right, in the middle picture, the upper right, Vision Sim is what I would suggest everybody download to their phone. And when you open it up, it says what the eye diseases are that it'll simulate.
Y bueno, tengo una carpeta de aplicaciones que uso. Por ejemplo, creo que todos deberían tener Vision Sim, que es una aplicación donde les enseña a cómo es que los pacientes ven de acuerdo a las diferentes patologías.
And when you click on a condition, it'll pop up with another screen that says what all the, there's a lot more information for the patient if they want to.
Y bueno, si ustedes le dan clic, además va a haber un montón de información extra que puede tener el paciente.
But importantly, why I think we should have it on our phones is we can what's called launch a simulator.
Pero lo más importante es para que tengamos la simulación de cómo es que están viendo.
So over on the right, I launched the macular degeneration simulator, and there's a slide bar at the bottom where I can make that scotoma more profound or less profound.
Y bueno, aquí podemos ver cómo es que en la degeneración macular se ve y con el cursor se puede hacer un escotoma más profundo y que, bueno, se va a ver peor.
And why I use this, it's a great teaching tool for not the patient, but the patient's family, for they can understand what's going on and why the person with the vision impairment is having trouble doing what they want to do.
Y también es una gran ayuda para los familiares de los pacientes para que comprendan eh, el problema que sus familiares tienen y también puedan ayudarlos.
All right, so we're going to talk. I know we're going to wind up here so soon, but let's talk a little bit about Braille.
Y bueno, vamos a hablar sobre Braille de forma rápida.
So the Braille note that first little patient used is pictured here. And it basically is like a computer without a screen for a blind person.
Bueno, ese es un sistema de escritura en el cual es casi como una computadora, pero sin pantalla.
And there's something called refreshable Braille, and you can see her using it, but the 6 cells here, as you scroll through a document, the cells will change, the little bumps will come up and down and change, so you can continuously read this. You don't have to have printed Braille, you can have refreshable Braille.
Y bueno, si bien es cierto, no están impresos, sino están como que táctil, conforme usted va cambiando el cursor, las palabras van a ir cambiando y se van a ir cambiando los botoncitos del braille y el paciente va a poder leerlo.
And just here's another picture as a person scrolls through their computer or whatever device, the information could be read to them through an ear device, or you could just have refreshable Braille and they could read it.
Y bueno, es así como el paciente puede darle scroll en la laptop y es como van apareciendo las diferentes palabras en el braille. O también puede ser que el paciente puede tener la capacidad de oír todo lo que está escrito en la pantalla.
So interestingly, Apple is a little bit ahead of Androids in terms of accessibility, but they actually have where the person can turn the phone away from them and do a Braille into their phone. And there's a little YouTuber, she does a great video you can take a look at later.
Bueno, Apple tiene dentro de sus insumos a ciertos dispositivos, bueno, ciertos accesos al sistema Braille en comparación a Android.
So we'll talk about another patient. He's a 64-year-old man who actually has no light perception.
Allá ahora hablaremos de un paciente de 64 años con desprendimiento de retina bilateral que no, NPL en ambos ojos.
And his main concern is he wears glasses for protection. He just wants to update his glasses for protection.
Y bueno, que solo quiere actualizar sus lentes para protección.
And he kind of wants to know what's new within the accessibility features.
Y además quiere saber qué está nuevo en temas de accesibilidad en las computadoras.
And you can see he was sighted till he was 16, but now travels with a dog guide, has Braille, and uses a screen reader.
Y bueno, él perdió la vista a los 16 años, tiene un perro guía y conoce braille y además usa el sistema de lector de pantalla de JAWS.
And for him, again, we just did the polycarbonate or safety lenses and did a review of all the latest technology.
Bueno, él usa lentes de policarbonato y además conoce todo lo nuevo en accesibilidad para pacientes con dificultades visuales.
And he didn't know about seeing AI, so we were able to help him with that app.
Entonces, él no sabía sobre la aplicación de Seeing, entonces le enseñaron a utilizarla.
And another thing we did is IRA, this company, is like a virtual assistant that we were able to demonstrate.
Y bueno, también le enseñaron cómo se usaba Aira, que es como un intérprete visual.
And then importantly, I'm not sure how it works in everybody's home location, but we provide documentation of the vision loss to help our patients with whatever they need to obtain.
Y bueno, también se le ayudó para los documentos de discapacidad.
Okay, so OCR, optical character recognition, we talked about the apps that easily can do this on the phone, but this is a big deal for our patients.
Y bueno, también existe OCR, que es un dispositivo de reconocimiento óptico de caracteres que lee imágenes.
There's actually devices you can purchase, but with the advent of the free apps on the phone, that's really what we need to do is tell patients about the apps.
Y bueno, básicamente hay que comentar a los pacientes ya que se encuentran muchas veces disponibles gratuitamente.
There's a whole area of prosthetic vision.
Hay todo un área sobre la visión prostética.
The Argus 2 is an implant on the upper right. You can see it's implanted for people with like bare light perception or no light perception.
Bueno, el Argus 2 es un implante que se coloca en pacientes que están en NPL o PL.
The patient wears a device with a camera and a little computer.
El paciente usa un dispositivo con una cámara y una pequeña computadora.
The computer transmits the message to the little implant.
Y la computadora transmite el mensaje a la pequeña computadora.
And then the implant bypasses the damaged retina and transmits the image to the brain.
Y el dispositivo manda la imagen de la retina hacia el cerebro.
The implant is small, so the image, it's kind of like a grainy black and white image, is like kind of the size of a screen, like a computer screen maybe that the patient can access.
Y la imagen va a ser pequeñita, como que en blanco y negro, del tamaño de una pantalla.
So it's fairly invasive, the surgery as well.
Entonces, básicamente, necesitas una cirugía invasiva.
Some of the other prosthetic vision, the OrCam is the middle picture.
Bueno, aquí tenemos otro dispositivo que es el OrCam,
which is basically a camera that can do OCR and read to the patient.
y bueno, es una ayuda óptica y también puede leerle a los pacientes.
And then I talked about IRA, the third one down.
Y también hablé antes sobre Aira, que es un intérprete visual.
And that's the bottom image here of the man.
Y bueno, esta es una imagen abajo del Aira.
And basically, when they turn it on, there is a virtual assistant sitting at a computer viewing what the camera is seeing, and then it'll talk to the patient, the user, through an earphone, whatever they need to know about what they're looking at.
Bueno, básicamente cuando prendes la cámara hay un como un asistente que está del lado de otra computadora que te va a decir todo lo que está viendo y te va a ayudar a saber qué es lo que tienes que ver.
And then finally, the brain port, the bottom right pictures.
Y bueno, abajo están las imágenes de Brainport.
And it's a little like a lollipop that is in the mouth, on the roof of the mouth.
Y es como un chupetín que va sobre el techo de la
And the,
boca.
sorry, the
Ah,
camera on the glasses looks at the image and sends a signal to the quote lollipop.
y bueno, la imagen envía la señal a la especie de chupetín o paleta.
So you can see on the bottom, the camera sees the cup and the tongue display will print the image of the cup onto the roof of the mouth for the patient starts to see what the camera is looking at.
Y bueno, básicamente luego como que la cámara imprime la imagen que están viendo.
Again, in the interest of time, I'm going to go fast over a couple slides. These, again, if you have an interest, just ask for the presentation and it'll give you a little bit more information about each one of these devices we touched on.
Y bueno, por horas del tiempo voy a tratar de sentarme estas imágenes, pero pueden verlas luego en el PowerPoint.
And we'll talk about just two more cases briefly and wind up. So this woman, 45-year-old with cone rod dystrophy, and she is, you can see hand motion in one eye and 21,000 in the other eye.
Bueno, ahora hablaré de una paciente de 45 años con distrofia de conos y bastones que tiene una agudeza de movimiento de manos y 20,000.
And she mainly has problems with glare and she wants to be able to travel more comfortably.
Y bueno, su problema principal es el deslumbramiento y quiere viajar con mayor confort.
She's already been trained with the cane and she does use the screen reader JAWS.
Y bueno, ya ha sido entrenada en la utilización de un bastón blanco y usa el programa JAWS.
So with her rehabilitation plan, you can see what's listed here. The main thing I would draw your attention to is number 6.
Y bueno, aquí está el plan de rehabilitación, pero lo que más debe llamar la atención es el uso de AIRA.
So she uses IRA all the time. And it's a subscription service, so there is a cost involved.
Y bueno, hay un costo involucrado para el uso de este producto.
But there are some areas that it's no charge for the patient to use the service. And I listed a couple there.
Pero hay algunos lugares donde el uso es gratuito, como aeropuertos, Target, Starbucks y hay más.
But as an example of how this helps her with transportation, she travels quite a bit. At the airport, she has her camera on with her cane, and airports are very crowded and busy. So she has the agent help her avoid obstacles, go to get her coffee, find her gate, and she can do it, even though she has her cane, she can do it much more comfortably.
Y bueno, por ejemplo, cuando está en los aeropuertos, el asistente le dice si es que está muy lleno el aeropuerto, como que evitar el tumulto, cómo evitar golpearse con otros, y le ayuda a encontrar su puerta de embarque.
And she also has become quite an advocate. And if you're not familiar, the National Federation for the Blind is a pretty amazing organization you can take a look at.
Bueno, ella se ha convertido como que en activista y participa de una organización.
Okay, just being respectful of everyone's time, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Just a comment that people with vision loss sometimes have other impairments or disabilities, so there is mounting tools, switches, and so forth that can help your patients better access the technology.
Bueno, para tener en cuenta que a veces los pacientes con dificultades en la visión también tienen otras dificultades o discapacidades, por lo que hay dispositivos que se pueden como que adaptar a sus necesidades.
Just continuing with technology for a patient that's nonverbal, they can either use eye gaze or tapping, touching to communicate.
Y bueno, hablando sobre pacientes que son no verbales, o sea, pequeños, hay dispositivos que se basan en el sentido del tacto, por ejemplo.
And just our last case, cortical vision impairment of a young girl.
Y nuestro último caso, una niña de 13 años con pérdida de visión cortical.
And the family just wants to make sure she can access her education and do the best she can.
Y bueno, la familia solo quiere que tenga un acceso a la educación lo mejor que pueda.
She has pretty good visual skills, and her acuities were through teller acuity cards in Cardiff.
Y bueno, tiene una buena agudeza visual.
And basically, our rehabilitation plan was just to help the screen placement and the size of the cells so that she could access her technology.
Y bueno, básicamente nuestra ayuda se basó en que, en que los tamaños de las imágenes de las celdas sean la adecuada para que ella pueda tener un acceso.
The cane, just our last little topic here, canes are amazing, dog guides. But there's also a lot of wayfinding apps, Google Maps, Apple Maps, the apps Be My Eyes, Envision, or Ira can also connect to a live agent to help you with your travels.
Y bueno, también el uso de conos, de bastones, perros guías, además de otras aplicaciones como Apple Maps, Google Maps, pueden ayudar a los pacientes, además de Ira.
There's also the development of canes with basically a little computer to help your patient, and the computer connects again to an earbud.
Y bueno, también hay el desarrollo de algunos bastones que tienen como que una pequeña computadora y ayuda a los pacientes a orientarse.
And then additionally, many of the things that we use just are virtual assistants. You can ask, what time is it? What's the temperature? Make a call, make a shopping list, set a timer.
Y bueno, también tenemos nuestros asistentes personales a los que les preguntamos la hora, cómo es el clima.
So don't
No,
discount this type of technology, verbal technology, to help your patients.
así que no subestimen estas tecnologías para ayudar a nuestros pacientes.
Okay, thank you for translating, and thank you for your attention this morning. And I will try to unshare my screen real quick.
Thank you, Dr. Machinsky. Do we have any questions? ¿Tienen alguna pregunta? I think we don't have questions. I was surprised and amazed about all the technology that has been developed for our patients, and thank you for this great talk.
And thanks for your attention, everyone.
Thank you.